Good morning, everybody. It's me, Teri Hunter. Today is October 9th, 2022. We are in a full moon in Aries. So welcome to the completion of a cycle that has to do with asserting yourself, being brave in your own life, being aware of your wants and desires. Before I start today's broadcast, I just want to do a little bit of business. These videos are based on whole sign Western astrology, and today I am going to focus mostly on the readings themselves. I did separate videos for today's full moon in Aries and yesterday's Pluto moving direct and the influences that will have on us. So I thought today I would go almost directly into the readings. Good morning, Katarina. Good morning, Sean. Good morning, 145 Club. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Scarred Owl. Taylor, it's good to see you. I want to thank everybody for their support. It's been a very, very interesting week. Good morning, CC Pups, and thank you so much. Yes, I'm in the last week of my 63rd solar return. So I technically will turn 63 a week from Monday. Thank you so much. It is a kind of a dreary day, but I like dreary days here. I want to talk a little bit about this morning when I was doing my meditation. Sometimes I do them with YouTube videos, and sometimes I get up and then another video rolls and starts. And this gal was talking about Pluto, and she literally was talking about Hades, the devil, Lord of destruction. And while all those things are true to some extent, I really started to think, oh my gosh, we've got to start to rewrite these planets if we are going to be able to move forward as souls experiencing a human dynamic, because there is truly no death. We are energetic beings. Einstein proved that energy does not die, it transforms. So as energy producing beings, we do not technically die. We shed the physical experience, as does every living thing, to transform. So I want to go, and that's where I want to mention my Pluto video, because I really equate Pluto's energy to the transformation from the caterpillar to the butterfly, which is not an easy transformation. And yet at the same time, it is riddled with beauty. So I really want to for us to start to look at a deeper truth, a soul's truth, something that when we experience the more challenging dynamics of Pluto's energy, we seek the wisdom that is being offered to us. So I really want to bring that forward and bring that to light. Thank you so much, everybody. Technically, my birthday is the 17th, so it's kind of next week will be my broadcast right before us. But I appreciate all the wishes. That's very nice. I can't believe I'm this age. Had a game night with my girlfriends last night, and I showed them a few pictures of me when I was younger. And one of the gals was like, you don't really look like yourself. And I thought to myself, I know, every time I look in the mirror, I don't look like myself. She's only known me as a mature woman. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into the readings to help be expeditious. Also, I want to let you know, so I did a separate video on the full moon in Aries today, and I did a separate video on Pluto moving direct. So please check those out. Please please feel free to share them on social media. And I just want to I really want to thank you guys for your support in so many ways. I'm so appreciative of the energy you send me, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I just really want you to know that my heart really loves each and every one of you. Welcome, Dusk. Welcome, Jules. Welcome, Jay Sean. Did I miss anybody? Catherine, Laura, Natalia, just call me C. Good to see you all in the room. All right, so let's go into the readings. We're going to start with Libra, work our way around the zodiac. Good morning, Les. It's great to see you. And then we're going to, that's going to be it. Okay, so let's start with Libra and see what the tarot card is for Libra this week. Oh, I love it. It is the Ace of Cups. This is a beautiful and actually a very Libran energy for me, even though it is a water sign. It's like the beginning of infusion of feeling love, of feeling a sense of peace, of feeling as if my cup is running over. Now, I want to offer this because, we know we're in challenging times. We see the disruption trending on Yahoo. This is the caterpillar that is going through this process of self. Literally disintegrating, ingesting itself in order to make this transformation. So I want to offer it this way, because when we as a tribe seek the higher vibrations of these planets, I was thinking about this morning. A malefic, Mars, Saturn, Pluto. There's so many definitions that the humans that you listen to on YouTube categorize. Jupiter, good. Venus, good. Mars, bad. Pluto, bad. Saturn, restrictive. All of these planets have dualities. And as we as a tribe pay attention to the duality, we can feel more at peace moving forward in our lives and purport a vibration energetically and a focus energetically that brings in more abundant experiences, regardless of what other people are experiencing. It is, if we really look back through history, while history tends to focus on the dark side of things, there's always been people that were in a certain oppressive energy or an oppressive dynamic, and yet they were able to thrive. So I think for Libra, this is really for you. Venus is moving through your sign. The sun is there right now. And I think it's time to really start to turn your focus towards what makes you feel peace, what makes you feel joy, what makes you feel at home, things that are cozy. You may even feel a bit of nostalgia and want to revisit some of your comfort foods or things that remind you of a warm, fuzzy place in your life. We, as Stephen is saying, challenging dynamics are coming. There's no doubt about it. Pluto is going to hang out at 26 degrees, and then it'll move to 27 degrees Capricorn, where it will be conjunct the United States, Pluto's natal Pluto. And that will be making an opposition to Mercury at 24 degrees Cancer in the 8th house for the United States. This is no joke, but it's not anything to really be fearful of, because if we remember that Pluto has this huge heart on the face of the planet, and what Pluto is doing is not trying to destroy your life. It is trying to destroy the lies in your life that disempower you from this amazing experience that you can co-create. So, and I say co-create because as you put a focus in this, you get cooperative components from the universe that start to support that. So I think Libra, this is really an opportunity to start to say, my life is always working out for me. Yes, I am the exception to the rule because I represent the balance. And if there's so much focus on what is not working in politics, in our communities, at the world at large, the things that we see on the internet that are just honestly horrific right now. Mars transit through Gemini is rough. It's been really rough, but it's mostly rough when we look at it from a place of being very earthbound. I have empathy for the people that are involved in these violent acts, and yet at the same time, as we become more appalled by them, we will take action to balance them. So there is always wisdom, and in some ways it's our job as souls inhabiting, as aware souls inhabiting a human experience, to seek that quote unquote higher ground every time, so that we can start to really anchor that into the earthly experience and experience it here where other people can witness it. That's the Saturn, the builder. See it in the material world. All right, Libra, what is the cup of love? Where is this starting for you? Whoop. Saturn is going to go direct at the end of this month, and we're going to have our first eclipse of the eclipse season, and it's going to be in Scorpio that is ruled by Pluto. So much opportunity coming up. Yes, the most people are going to say, oh my gosh, we're just pushing a rock uphill. Oh no, oh no. I don't think so. I think that whatever pressure, whatever transformation is happening is calling us to seek a more effortless way of achieving things. And as we start to really pay attention to that, things will be revealed for us. So let's look. Okay, Libra, our first angel is Astera. The second is Akasha. The third is Fiona. And the final is Athena. Now, as I was, starting to say a little bit ago, we tend to categorize these planets where Venus is always warm and loving. And you know what? I don't believe that. I think Venus can be very jealous. I think she can be vindictive. And if you really look at mythology, she's got some real rough patches. So I want to offer it this way, because as we see Venus going through Libra right now, and it's Libra season, it's your birthday, the sun is about to shine and be conjunct with Venus. I think this is an opportunity for you to really find the balance in being very intentional about your own personal happiness. Not that, I don't want to be mean about the we's in your life, meaning if you're a mom or a dad or you're a spouse of some kind, but to think on a different level about your own personal happiness and how that can contribute to the happiness of other people. All right, Astera is being joined by the Bear. Akasha is being joined by the Love card. Fiona is being joined by the Hawk. And Athena is being joined by the Frog. So you guys know from listening to me for a long time, I always think that there's a synergy to oppositions, to the signs that represent opposition on the wheel. So here we have an Aries full moon. Again, I'm going to say, check out the other video. But this is a culmination of a cycle that is calling forth bravery and courage and a pioneering spirit when it comes to how you are viewing your own partnerships. Aries rules the me. Libra rules the we. So as we experience this full moon today, Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums has an opportunity to really look at, how am I being Venusian in my own life? Am I providing comfort for myself? Am I seeing the best in myself? Am I seeing my own evolution as a soul on this planet? Because Astera is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And the Bear here, now I don't want to talk about my history. I want to talk about the enchantment of storytelling. This is where I think, let's focus on a new story that actually really starts to transform the darkness into the light. The ability, when the caterpillar transforms into the butterfly, there is other than the skeletal interior structure on some level, everything about the experience is new and different. The caterpillar eats leaves, the butterfly drinks nectar. The caterpillar walks on a little twig with very little view and sight, whereas the butterfly has a tremendous amount of sight. So Libra, starting to think that love is coming easily. The things that bring me comfort, the things that bring me a sense of connectedness and a sense of fairness are coming, because Akasha is teaching you about love. And I want to offer it this way. So many times the human says, I love you, I love you. And there is an underbelly of, do you love me back? What are you going to do for me? Prove my value to me. You know what? That's not the person who loves you's job. The person who loves you should support the love you have for yourself, Libra. And that's why I think this is important, because Fiona says, now that you asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And then we have the Hawk. And I think this really at this point is about signs and omens, that love is here to teach you about duality and about the opportunity that if you have not felt love in the past, are you contributing to your own lack of feeling love because you're repeating the story over and over and over and over again and inadvertently constantly bringing in the law of attraction to support it? So now it's about telling a new story. Love comes to me easily and often. I feel loved in so many ways. I feel loved by the smile of a stranger walking down the street. I feel loved because there's a sense of ease to my day. Because Athena is saying to lovingly assert yourself, and the frog is here. And the frog talks about emotional cleanup. And I want to offer it this way because it talks also about cleaning your house. Well, for the human, the house is right here. It is the mind. The mind, it really, our beliefs, our thoughts are all indications of the experiences that we've had, the conclusions we've drawn, and we take our actions based on that. So this is an opportunity for Pluto to really change your life in a really wonderful, wonderful way. And I want to offer it this way because there's no way the caterpillar had a good time. I'm sorry. So it's not about looking for the ease of transformation. It's not about expecting something to come effortlessly, because the human does not accept happiness effortlessly. If there's an effortless journey, the human inherently looks for something to go awry. So as we start to tell a new story, my life flows easily. The universe is working to bring forth opportunities for me to experience love and happiness and flow, regardless of what the real estate market is doing, regardless of what politics is saying, regardless of what is happening to anybody else. And then as you start to purport that, Libra, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums, you actually start to really purport balance. And if we are to feel healed in any way, we get to see the balance, because there is no eradication of an experience. There is really no releasing of an experience, because once something has happened to the human, it is imprinted. And that's just the way it rolls. All right, let's go on to our Scorpios. Now, if I remember correctly, this is around, I believe, this eclipse is a partial solar eclipse, and I think it's at 2 degrees Scorpio. Don't quote me, because I don't have any notes here today. But I want to offer it this way, because you may be feeling this. There's already, between Pluto moving direct, we know that Pluto is going to station at like 26 degrees until December. And I really think that last 26 degrees, as we move into 27, 28, and 29. 27 is the Gemini degree. 28, while it's the Cancer degree, reduces down to a 1. And so does the 29th degree of Leo, which is an 11. So we are really getting an opportunity to go into a master class of thought, of structure, of where Capricorn's energy has maybe made us feel repressed, and then Pluto's deconstruction of that structure to enable you to feel more like the butterfly. All right, here we go. Yes, and invited in 145 Club, because I think that oftentimes experiences come in, and the scariest part is not, when we're still pulling in the law of attraction, it's still very human. It still feels like efforting. But when an experience comes in that actually offers happiness, the human inherently becomes more fearful, because they're fearful of losing that. So as we embrace the idea that our continued focus on the ebb and the flow brings in more flow, then we can enjoy the ebb. Hey, Stephen, you know what? Pluto's squaring my natal Mars in Libra. So I've kind of said to myself, I think this is how I've interpreted that, as an opportunity for me to take what I know about my Martian energy and allow it to transform me into brave assertion, to being a master of using my sword, instead of being like a teenager, just willy-nilly trying to push myself into a situation. I believe that as we go through the houses, and the reason the degrees are important to me as an astrologer is that I think like the first 10 degrees are like the beginning of learning about that sign or house. The second 10 degrees are about sort of kind of having certain skills and then honing them. And then as we get into the later degrees, it's the mastery of that sign or house. So when we see Pluto in the last degrees of Capricorn, giving us a lot of time to revisit old structures, to reinvent how we perceive these things. Because when we watch reality shows, if you don't have a dark Plutonian story, your package is not enrolling. And the more challenging your Plutonian story is, the more America or the public or the viewing audience embraces your transformation. If we become aware of this, it offers us an immense amount of power, which is why Pluto rules control and power. And Mars, being the co-ruler of Scorpio and the ruler of Aries, gives us an opportunity to implement that. Okay, so let's go on to our Scorpios. Now, your tarot card is the Three of Cups. This is a very, very interesting energy because, first of all, we see the harvest, right? We see all the pumpkins, which give us this feeling of our growth and celebrating that growth. And I want to offer this too, because this Three of Cups inherently represents, they say the three phases of the woman, but I do believe this is, again, those three phases I was just talking about. The newness of an experience would be the naive one. Those middle 10 degrees would represent, middle age. And then the wisdom that a seasoned professional has. So I want to offer this, Scorpio. This is a time to really start, as we walk into this eclipse, which is a fated event bringing you liberation of some kind. You will have an opportunity to implement and harvest things, and that might be the Plutonian energy that sees underneath a situation and now responds to it in a more productive or more intentional way. So here we go. Welcome, Astro Tarot Cares. Did I say hi? I said hi to DJ. Hi, Jenny B. Welcome, Small Wildflowers. Got our girl in the house. Oh, yay, Stephen. Fifth house is about creativity, expressing yourself. Hi, Natalia. Did I miss anybody? I hope not. All right, everybody, let's go on to our Scorpios. Three of Cups. As I've got, been doing the astrology more and more, it's funny, when Pluto first started squaring my ascendant and my sun, I have a 23-degree Libra sun, 23.55. Then I have a 27-degree Mars in Libra, and I have a 26 degrees ascendant. So Pluto's been squaring me forever and a day. And the very first thing all astrologers said to me is, how's your health? Oh, my goodness. And you know what? At first, I got a little nervous. And then I was like, that. I am like, this is about something very different. It's about embracing how I show up. It's about me stopping to villainize my more challenging side and to start to implement it in a more constructive way. I have this weird way of looking at squares. I keep equating it to building a house, and you need like a corner, right, in order to have a strong foundation. It's built in a square, and one wall seems to be going this way and one goes this way, the old me and the new me, but together at this juncture it creates strength. So what I started to think was, as Pluto was squaring my sun and squaring my Mars, it's like, am I brave enough to assert myself to my truth rather than constantly trying to please other people around me, which was a futile experience and very deflating. So Scorpio, I'm going to tell you, it's time to incorporate the wisdom of these phases and to start to feel the harvest and to celebrate yourself, and calling forth really experiences that support the version of who and what you want to be as we walk into this eclipse, because I think it's super powerful for you. Okay. Thank you, Jules. If thoughts are things and we focus on the thoughts we like, how powerful could we be? Oh my gosh. And I really, truly, truly, the older I get, the more I'm willing to be brave in my own challenges and my own thought process, the more I see myself continue to conquer and to feel empowered by the dark side. Thank you, Jenny B. Okay. So, Scorpio, our first angel is Celeste. The second is Serena. The third is Azure. And the final is Teresa. Very interesting because we're talking about harvesting for Scorpio. We're talking about incorporating the three phases of the human development, the naive with the more mature with the wise one that's been here for a while. So here we see Celeste talking about a shift. And oftentimes, more times than not, I think of it as a shift in the way I'm thinking, because you can put my physical body anywhere on the planet, and I have a certain belief system in which I'm going to take my actions on. So Celeste talks about a new job or a new new home or a new place of employment. I'm not sure it's going to be that. I think it might, maybe it could be, let's see, but I think it has something to do with abundance, with your ability to receive what you want, to truly enjoy the phases of your life and to celebrate them as you continue to fill your cup. And this is where Pluto becomes completely your best friend. I'm telling you, I'm so tired of everybody making Pluto the bad guy. Pluto's just willing to go in and say, that's a lie. That's not your deeper truth. That's where you're hiding and you don't want it. You're afraid to be seen. Celeste is being joined by the Queen. Oh my goodness, this is amazing, Scorpio. Receiving, feminine energy. The Wasp is joining Serena. All right, so you're learning how to be more serene with your stinger, to relax a little bit. Azure's being joined by the Water Fairy, and Teresa's being joined by the Bear. Okay. This is beautiful for my Scorpios, because I think this eclipse, which is fated events. Now, humans are going to look at this glass creates the event of drinking. Pluto is psychological. Pluto is emotional about all things. Pluto and Scorpio by nature needs the depth of the truth of their heart. Where other energies can live on a more superficial plane of oh, this table is solid, rather than it's a bunch of dense molecules, Scorpio will always see the dense molecules. So I think that this is a time to shift into your happy place, to start to see that you are a fertile energy, whether you are a man or a woman. And as you sit more serenely, because the challenging side of Scorpio is to be controlling, to be dominant, to be, driving the bus. And sometimes you're driving it from an angry place. And this is the time not to do that. This is a time to start to really allow the shift of receiving, to incorporate and be joyous as you allow the universe to bring in more experiences, because Serena is all about letting go. And I don't mean letting go of a negative situation. It's about understanding that when I take certain actions and I pass the baton on to my partner known as the universe, I have to let go of the baton so the universe can run the next lap. And this might have been challenging for you, because Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. And there's the Water Fairy. This is where you start to really go into your more intuitive body, to use the element of water to receive the nurturing that you get to create through your thoughts and things, and the focus of that. Because inadvertently, the final card here is the Baird. And the Baird is about my history, and Teresa's about worry. But the Baird is also about music and poetry and about the enchantment of storytelling. So as you be a little bit brave in telling a story to yourself that other people may not understand. Most of the people that witnessed my transformation from an administrator in a doctor's office to doing YouTube and readings and all of this, they didn't get that transformation. They didn't understand that there was always a part of me that knew things that other people didn't know. And as I embraced that, I stopped worrying about what other people thought so I could truly be me. I think that's what's happening with Scorpio. There is a part of you that is going to undeniably change, shift, I want to say metamorphosis, but it's not the correct tense. Go through a gestation period where you will start to see yourself from a new perception. And that perception is that your history is actually working for you. It's not trying to tank you. And as you kind of individualize yourself, rather than to try to get people to validate you, they will validate when they experience that. So I would really, if I was Scorpio, rising moon, sun, or stelliums, I would start at this moment during the full moon, as my co-ruler Mars is completing a cycle. I would start to put an intention out for what I want the eclipse to bring forward, what new experiences I want. And I would do this fearlessly. So instead of being afraid of this dang eclipse, I'm going to say it's going to be a rockin' eclipse, because I'm going to put an intention, and that intention is to harvest my happiness straight up and be willing to accept it. Okay. Let's go on to our Sagittariuses. It's really, this co-creation thing takes a brave heart, because when the rubber meets the road and we're experiencing something that we deem quote unquote negative, it could very well be cleaning the litter box of your life, and nobody likes to clean the litter box, but it needs to be done. It gets to be done in order to have a fresh dynamic. All right, Sag. Ooh, I love this one. The beginning of money. This is the nurturing of the material. This represents Taurus. It represents our earth signs. And I want to offer this because when I look at the Queen of Pentacles, I always feel as if she's starting to see her material resources from a different perception. In this particular card, we see the ram, we see the goat. We see the goat, not the ram. We see the prolific rabbit in the foreground, and I feel as if she's starting to trust the ebb and the flow of her material resources. So, if this was representing Taurus energy, right now we're looking at Sagittarius, we would start to see trusting myself to be a co-creator. So, I want to offer this because I think with Sagittarius, there's also this feeling of being able to afford new experiences or foreign experiences or journeying in some way. Now, let's take this journeying doesn't necessarily mean your physical body goes from, California to Calcutta, but it could be the journeying and the material of your spiritual experiences, the ninth house activities that you start to root into the material world that allow you to trust that you will have more resources and resources that make you feel safe in the world. Because this little goat here is sitting at her right hand makes me feel like she knows how to be tenacious. She knows how to do the hard work of creating money, but underneath it is really the deep belief system of the inner child, of the part of you that, when you go to some of these self-help things, sometimes they'll tell you that you believe you can make so much money. And then when you get to a certain number, it starts to wobble because you've never done it before or whatever the case may be. So it's breaking through the top of that. I hope that made sense. Because I think for Sagittarius, there's going to be a deeper journey of trusting material resources. And that journey may be a journey of consciousness, a journey of awareness of the mind. So now you bring forth that into the material world. I love One Life to Live, but, well, I shouldn't say that. It was my least favorite of the three. I loved All My Children. I miss it. And I'm still a General Hospital fan. Tape it every week. Tape it? Did I say tape it? Jeez, I'm old. Thank you, Bora Bora. It's good to see you in the room. Did I miss anybody else? All right, let's go. Sagittarius. Our first angel is Mystique. The second is Yvonne. The third is Teresa. And the final is Celeste. I think one of the most challenging things sometimes about being a human is having a super inspired divine idea. And then you go to your other human friends and they inadvertently throw a human wet blanket on it, asking you how you're going to do something and you don't know how, and they're like, well, it ain't going to happen if you don't know how you're going to do it. And you know what? That's not necessarily true. All right. Sagittarius, Mystique is being joined by the communications card. Yvonne is being joined by the forgiveness card. Teresa is being joined by the hawk. And Celeste is being joined by the queen. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. So we're talking about the queen trusting more of the material resources coming and going the way she knows they will, and redefining them and feeling a flow here, trusting, feeling more secure. And that is because Sagittarius keeps charging ahead, expecting miraculous solutions, and that is their self-talk. That's what's going on. I can't, I kind of laugh because Sagittarius really represents the first experience of the soul implementing new beliefs, especially because of what's happened in the 8th house. So I want to offer this because Sagittarius, as you start to communicate with yourself in a more ebb and flow way, and you're vulnerable to your conversation, you're trusting, you're giving yourself an opportunity to have the baton pass, not overmanage it, you're going to start to feel a reconciliation. You're going to start to be like, oh, I get this. Forgiveness for me is always the wisdom of a challenging situation that actually propels me to a new level of power within my own life. And what I think this is for Sagittarius is not worrying anymore about material resources and starting to see the signs and the omens that spirit is working for you. So let's take this into a little bit of a metaphoric example. You really want a job, you're looking to create more money, you see this job, it's going to pay $10,000 more a year than you've ever made. You go, you apply, you think that's the job, the signs and the omens are there, the universe is going to bring me this job. But it's a thankless job and the people are terrible and they're backbiting. And then you inadvertently don't get the job and you're super sad. You're like, oh my God, I really wanted that job. I really wanted that job. The universe is working because it is coming to bringing you all the variants that you need, not just the money. So here we see Celeste and the Queen. So Sagittarius, you will potentially get a new job that will provide resources, but this will be based on something that is effortless and more aligned to what the truth of your heart wants, what you've been learning through your Pluto transit. It's about trusting, it's the person who's brave enough to say, I want to be a singer. And then they actually let themselves be a singer. And maybe they spend a few years singing in their car or in a bar or on the street, but eventually they just keep trying, and that trying or that tenacity to keep moving ahead and to tell the story they want to live then brings opportunities for this. So I really want Sagittarius to start to say, whatever has been disruptive, whatever I thought I wanted and didn't materialize, there may be components to that really weren't aligned to what I want to experience. And so I'm going to trust a bigger picture, and I'm going to be willing to be Platonian in my own life and unveil where I think this provides something I want, but it doesn't. Because I will tell you, first up, I don't care how much money you make, money will never make you happy. Never. I don't care how many trips you get to go on. I don't care. There's a golden noose with that thing. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns. And our late-born Capricorns are experiencing those Pluto conjunctions. And they are not to be feared. They are to be, this is a time to be brave with your own dreams and desires. I have Scorpio Pluto influence, but the real Pluto influence has been the transits in my life. Pluto started for me in Virgo, and the majority of my planets are in Virgo, Libra, and then I've got one in Sag, one up in Cap, and then it kind of slows down on this side of the chart. So Pluto's literally been conjunct every single one of my personal planets except my moon, and then now it's squaring those things. So this is really about an awareness of my co-creation, because any planet that's conjunct as it transits or in your chart is a fusion of that energy. There's a marrying of that energy. So this is really powerful. All right, Capricorn, your tarot card. Oh, this is kind of nice. It's a card of travel, the Six of Swords, but it's also going from troubled waters into a calmer place and being willing to move. And I want to say, because all the swords are air, and air is being able to also move my mind. And I want to offer it this way because we still see sorrow here. We still see these swords blocking this woman's view, and there's a feeling of loss. And yet the person here that's actually driving this barge, or whatever you want to, steering the barge, this feels like a soul, like my guardian, my spiritual hosts that are watching over me. And now is a time to really embrace a bigger picture. Again, Pluto, as it deconstructs something, aka destroys it, kills it, makes it die, it's about transforming it into a bigger, more enjoyable place. So I think we're going to see that for Capricorn here, because Capricorn, Pluto's been asking you, are those depressive structures, the duty that you're being expected to demonstrate? Capricorn's that sign that says, I don't care if you like what you're doing, get it done, and get it done the way we always do it. So now there may be a real sense of ease as you move through that energy, meaning I no longer need to do that. And there's a sense of loss because it may be disruptive in some ways. Other people may not be so happy with you because you're not doing what they want anymore. Okay, here we go. Our first angel for Capricorn is Crystal. Have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. We have Merlina in the opportunity or the obstacle, Azure in the angel's advice, and Patience is in the final position. Patience is never about holding your breath. Patience is always an observation of an experience. Jules, I have to say, I think that is the greatest gift, is the awareness of what Pluto has done for me throughout my life. And I will tell you, I'm pretty sure that the reason I never got into astrology in any deep way when I was younger is because if I knew Pluto was conjunct all those planets and how long it would take me to get over that, I might have just jumped off a bridge, honestly, because it was not fun. But that's over. Crystal's being joined by the High Priestess. Merlina's being joined by the Grail Knight. Azure's being joined by the Cow. And Patience is being joined by the Wasp. Okay, so here we go, Capricorn. Capricorn is an earth sign. Capricorn represents how I'm seen in the public eye. It's the 10th house. It's the highest part of the chart. And I want to offer it this way, because as you're moving from some old repressive energy into something new, there may be challenges along the way that sort of put Capricorn in an energy that you're unfamiliar with. And I think that's what's being represented here with the High Priestess and Crystal, that you're starting to be like, okay, how do I build an intuitive structure on the earthly plane? How do I build from my soul's perception in the earthly plane? It feels counterintuitive. I don't know how to do that. So what is my opportunity, but my obstacle is Capricorn continuing to say, what is most important to me? Seeking the sacred, bowing down to that, and letting that be your true north versus how do I build the new me in the old structure? That's what I think is really going on. And I don't think it can happen. Like the caterpillar, there is a complete ingestion of the caterpillar's body. I think the only thing left might be like the spine in the smallest way, or even cells at a DNA level that you don't see when you look at the butterfly. There's no representation of the caterpillar. So the angels are saying your job is to focus on what nourishes you. During a time of transformation, we tend to have habits that don't serve us. Either we will pity ourselves and victimize ourselves, or we will sometimes try to overpower the situation. So as you're saying, your desired outcome will come in the near future. And your job during this time of transformation is to keep your eye on the prize of what you really, really want. Because what I think might be challenging is the period of time of the gestation period, because the final position here for Capricorn is the patience card. And the patience card is observing your own energy and how you may be getting on your own case because things aren't moving quickly enough. You're not feeling, the depression isn't lifting, your fears aren't lifting quick enough.
Unknown caller.
Okay, come back. Are you there, everybody? Dang, I put the phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm sorry, small wildflowers. I could have swore I put the phone on Do Not Disturb. I did have it on Do Not Disturb. Why did it ring? Okay, Capricorn, patience during this process is not about something that does not feel authentic. It's about nourishing yourself as you go through a process of metamorphosis, and you're lifting a veil of sadness, a veil of sorrow, because you're caught between wanting to please others and knowing that there's a new path for you that may disrupt those relationships or those dynamics in some way. And I think it's for the best. I think the disruption creates something better for Capricorn that they may not have given themselves permission to experience without that disruption. So Pluto killing off something could be a divine disruption that you never would have given yourself permission for. I can't even believe that went through, because I went out of my way, because I remember Small Wildflowers, the phone, you having earphones in and it blowing your brain up, and I didn't want that to happen. I want it to be all nice and cozy. So who knows who that was? Okay, Capricorn, that's your reading. We're going to go on to our Aquariuses. Good morning, Lucy Rose. Good morning, Bora Bora. Pisces, I haven't done it yet. I started with Libra because it's Libra season, and then I worked my way around the zodiac. And this is how I'm rolling, because I'm very rebellious. I have Uranus in Leo, the 5th house. And when I watch other astrologers, and they always go Aries to Pisces, I get annoyed. When I watch them pigeonhole these planets and don't allow for evolution of the planets, or they don't focus on the balance or the duality, I get annoyed. So I'm here to be a disruptive energy. I'm here to be like, no. Happiness is not unattainable. These planets aren't here just to screw us over. They're here to enlighten us. All right. Aquarius, your tarot card is this 4 of Cups. This is an interesting energy because it's not about lack. It's about hoarding. It's about being in an energy that feels stuck. And it's because somehow I'm doing something the hard way. Look at the way this man is, this guy is a royal of some kind. We see the crown on his head, but he's holding his material goods in a way that's very awkward and uncomfortable. So we know that your ruling planet Uranus and your co-ruler Saturn are squaring each other now. And we know that Uranus is in Taurus, which rules money. And we know that Saturn is in Aquarius. So you may be experiencing a feeling of things being tight, or resources feeling, I want to use the word unavailable. And I feel as if this is where that square becomes this opportunity for me to start to write a new story and to understand that I need this corner for these opposite things to meet in order. This square creates a new balance. So Saturn is going to look at doing things the old way, and Uranus is going to say, oh, I want to do something new. I want to do something more innovative. I want to have fun with my resources. So I feel like this is really about looking at how your own energy, Aquarius, may be contributing to feeling stuck. Are you doing something the hard way? Are you doing something in a traditional old Saturnian way and then hoping for a new a new outcome? Let's look and see where this is going. Our first angel for Aquarius is Vanessa. The second is Estera. The third is Layla. And the final is Raphael. It's funny to me because we talk about 11th house ruling our networks, the World Wide Web, humanitarian endeavors, but it's a money house. And it's also a Upachaya house. So it represents our hopes and our dreams. So as we are more authentic and brave in wanting to work and co-create those dreams, and the work being, what are my thoughts? Where's my focus? Am I giving life to my dreams, or are my dreams inadvertently jacking me up with thoughts of, I don't know how I'll do that. I don't know how I'll do that. And it's really a baton pass. You don't have to know how to do something as much as you get to be willing to be inspired to do something. Innovative Uranus versus Saturn, wanting to do things the old way. And that might be why you feel a little stuck. Let's see. Vanessa's being joined by the Truth. Estera's being joined by Merlin. Layla's being joined by the Lady of the Lake. And Raphael is being joined by the Wind Fairy. Okay, so this is what I'm going to say. And it might be kind of annoying, but I'm going to say it anyway. I have a lot of people coming here looking for love. And they're mad and frustrated. And they're like, I've been on Tinder. I've gone on all these dates. I'm doing my job. And, why isn't love coming to me? That energy right there is why love isn't coming to them. And they don't understand it. They're like, but I'm doing the work. There is no doing. There is only a being energy that allows you to receive. So if Aquarius is feeling stuck in any way, then you get to dig deep into the truth of your own faith in your ability to experience that. Because I think that oftentimes, because humans interact with humans and they, I can't help but think of that depression commercial where the girl walks around with the little mask and the smile on her face, but she's really all, that's how we think the universe. Like if we put on the mask and we act all happy, the universe is going to respond to the mask. It's not. The universe is going to respond to the truth, underbelly. So here we go. It's about time to examine how much you believe in the viability of your own dreams. And now is the time to really reach for the stars with your dreams and desires and start to imagine the journey of challenge being part of the balance that allows you to receive the bounty you want. Because the angels are saying, Aquarius, you may inadvertently not be really talking about what you need. You may be focused more on the challenge because the Lady of the Lake is in a storm between her mind, her emotional body, and the truth that Excalibur offers her in between. And if we look closely at this card, she holds her truth effortlessly. She stands unwavering through this storm. So here we go. The storm is the deeper truth of your heart. And it isn't about trying to avoid being stuck, because as you are aware of a deeper truth, you know what? I've been looking for love. It hasn't come to me. And the deeper truth is I'm pissed off, or I'm mad, or I'm starting to doubt the viability of that experience coming to me, because that's when magic can happen. Archangel Raphael offers you an epiphany in your own deeper truth. And it's not about villainizing that truth. It's not about making yourself a bad guy. It's just about, it's okay. This is how the human is trained and imprinted, no matter where you are in the world. It's like so common. So as we start to give life, Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, to the idea that I don't have to do this alone. I just get to have a Uranian thought. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. And that Uranian thought is, what if this isn't all about me? What if this isn't me doing everything, but rather me giving myself an ability to connect with sources, with dynamics that I can't see with my eyes, but I can feel with my heart. And as I go deeper and I say, you know what, Spirit, I lack faith right now. I feel a little stuck. So that faith will be honored because you'll start to have experiences that will balance that out. And your courage to be authentic instead of villainizing your truth will give you the ability to become a powerful co-creator, because you'll start to understand the ebb and the flow. We really can't feel empowered. We can't feel like the boss in our lives if we don't walk through a challenge. I've never seen anybody truly feel that way, no matter their privilege. And I say privilege, I meant material privilege. Okay, let's go on to our Pisces rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card is the Five of Wands. Now, this is an interesting card because when you first look at it, it looks as if they're fighting or they're competing. But really, each person is holding their wand in a sort of awkward way. Look at this guy with the blue tunic on. He's just holding it with one hand up in the air. The guy with the darker blue tunic in the background is holding it over his shoulder. There's a mock sense there's a sense of disorganization with this card. There's a sense of doing things sort of the hard way. Now, if we think, what does the wands represent? The fire element, inspiration, allowing things to grow through inspiration. So let's see right here what's going on with Pisces. Where could there be an opportunity for you to sort of hold inspiration in a more effortless way for yourself? Our first angel for Pisces is Ariel, the connection to the other side. The second is Layla, spending time in meditation. Azure, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. And Rosetta is about teaching. It's about parenting. It's about working with young children. Can't help but just feel Stephen all over this reading here. All right, here we go. What about Rick Levine? I like Rick Levine. Okay, here we go. Pisces. Ariel is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. Layla's being joined by the stag. The dog is joining Azure, and the raven is joining Rosetta. I can't help but think about this in a way that makes me feel as if this little bit of competition that you may feel, Pisces, I don't know if I think it's imaginary. I feel like this is an opportunity for Pisces to see their influence in a very individual way. And I almost feel as if this has less to do with your skill, because look how awkwardly these guys are holding these wands, but rather your inspiration and the higher vibrations of what the fire element has to offer, which is creativity and inspiration and bravery. Because Ariel is saying new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself in the world. And there's Pluto, birth and rebirth. You're being offered a new chapter, a new opportunity. And in many respects, it may come from you're walking through what feels like a competitive situation, but it really isn't when you allow yourself to individualize. Pisces by nature is mutable, and it's compassionate and it's empathetic. So inadvertently, you may feel like if you mirror somebody or you find out their wants and desires, and you can fill those wants and desires, you will be a viable candidate. And I don't. I think it's about being yourself. This is the stag. It's about leadership. And here's Layla. And I feel like this is an opportunity for you to stand with spirit in allowing yourself the privilege of not being like everybody else, but rather standing individually and seeing that as a viable a valuable quality for others is a better way to put it. Because in the final, in the angel's advice, we have the dog, which represents loyalty and sincerity and unconditional love. And Azure saying that your desired outcome will happen in the near future. I think this has to do with loyalty and sincerity and being a sincere, loving, compassionate leader that you can be. Because there's something about Pisces working with children. There could potentially be a job being offered to you. You could potentially become pregnant or start influencing children. And now really is a magical timing where you are able to allow for this rebirth. This is huge for Pisces because Neptune is retrograde in your sign. It's been making aspects to Mercury, and Jupiter's creeping up in its retrograde towards Pisces again. So we'll see the co-rulers together at those final signs, which is our final degrees, giving you an opportunity to master the intuitive, meditative, connective side to the other side and allow yourself to go from the caterpillar to the butterfly. And I say that because sometimes I think it's a slippery slope for Pisces, because when they become intertwined with another person, sometimes I feel like they become absorbed by it. So I think this is where, you've been to the underworld, you've picked the bones of everything, and now there's a magical element that allows your inner child, or your wanting children, or wanting to work with children, experiencing, teaching, parenting, anything that way to come about. So I think that's super powerful. All right, let's go on to our Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Has Neptune or 145 Club, what's been conjunct your moon? Is it Neptune? Because that really kind of, between Neptune and the moon, I would think you'd be having all sorts of crazy dreams and spiritual experiences, that like dreaming about dead people and feeling like they're real, or the experience is real, which is kind of cool. Can also make you, it can also kick up your intuition. So if you're in an imbalanced situation, that Neptune may be like really messing with you and saying, I got to let this go. I got to let this person go away, or this experience, or this job, or this dynamic. All right. Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. A little bit of a challenging card. God bless. This is the Five of Pentacles. It can represent rejection. It can represent ill health. But the thing about this particular energy, and this is kind of where I laugh a little bit, because people will pigeonhole this as a negative experience. But these two characters are so in their crap that they don't see the church right here offering respite, offering them a roof over their head to get out of the cold. So this is a card where it will really require Aries to step out of their victimhood. Thank you very much. I'm an Aries rising, out of their anger, out of their resentment. And let's see, because I feel as if this is where it's about being brave to say, you know what, whether or not I'm right or wrong in that situation, whether or not I was truly treated poorly, is my anger and my resentment about the situation now eating up the peace in my life? That's, as an Aries rising, I know that's been happening to me a lot, where I've really had to look at my focus and my concentration and am I allowing good things to come in, or am I just focused on what is not working, what makes me feel less than or rejected, or even, I believe that anger contributes tremendously to our health. So here we go. Our first angel is Fiona. The second is Omega. The third is Serena, and the final is Astera. This is for Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Ooh. As I was dropping the cards, I was looking at the Five of Pentacles, and the first character, the woman, really is just shrouded in her, she cannot see anything but this little snail crawl of cold weather ahead of her. And yet the guy on the crutches, he sees those stars or those pentacles. He sees that light, and yet he's still moving forward. So I think that this is really for Aries an opportunity to see, where am I not looking at the solution? So if there's square between Pluto hitting you, or Mars and Gemini is messing with you in some way, because Mars is your ruling planet, what are you not looking at? Because Fiona is being joined by the Joy card. Omega is being joined by the High Priestess. Serena is being joined by the Fire Fairy. And Merlin is joining Astera. As an Aries rising, I got to tell you, this has been the most illuminating last few years to really see where I was right about many things in the technical way, but my approach to it, my aggressiveness, my anger when people weren't listening really was off-putting, and I was not being engaged in getting people to help me. So I want to offer it this way, because when I look at this, Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, Aries, be open to receiving joy. You know, as an Aries rising, I could be very self-righteous. You know, I try to be a good person. I try to do the right thing, and people just crap on me, blah, 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 blah. You know what? My focus on people crapping on me is bringing people crapping on me. So now my victory is truly seeking the wisdom of those experiences and then rewriting them. Rewriting the experiences that felt like they were pulling me under when they were really giving me wings to fly. Because I think that this has been my biggest crime in the world on my own life, is not seeing the divinity of the disruption that I've experienced and what that disruption offered me in the way of individuality. Because I think for Aries, this serenity that Serena offers about our own creative ideas, the Fire Fairy is you. The Fire Fairy is you out there being brave in the real world, wanting to experience something and to be paid for it. To see that, you know, your own intuitions about what you know you're really capable of are valid. Because Astera says, now that you've reached for the stars with your dreams and desires, there's the balance. This is the higher vibrational dual side of Aries being ruled by Mars. And I feel like me watching Mars go through Gemini has really made me aware of my own communications and my assertion in my community, in my neighborhood, in my network, with my clients. And I have started to focus more on what's working than what isn't working. And that's what Fiona is saying. It's time, you know, the element of resentment that you represent, the aggression, the anger, the war, is it working for you? Is it appropriate? Your conscious use of your sword versus your unconscious use of it will change your life. So having Pluto squaring Aries right now isn't such a bad thing. And Libra and opposing Cancer. So how are you going to transform your own? What is your willingness, Aries, to look and see where you might be participating in your own challenges, and that there is a divinity and a divine plan that will disrupt that old thought that will actually allow you to experience more joy. Yeah, the galactic center is 27 to 29 degrees, and it's on the whole world axis. Pluto's making aspects to the world axis. We are all being transformed, and we all wanted to be here for it. All right. Let's go on to Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card is the Eight of Cups. This is, I think, one of the most spiritual cards of the whole tarot deck, because this character, you know, first I notice him walking away from what appears to be balanced, but apparently it's not balanced enough for him. Having these five cups and then the three, it left a hole somewhere. And this character had to choose to walk away from what was just okay. And it may have even been in some ways a partnership, because we see the sun and the moon. This has an eclipse feeling, doesn't it? Or a new moon feeling in some ways. So he's gone on the path of self-awareness. So let's look at how this plays out. I've been I've been fascinated by Kathy Hilton and her flip from being the funny girl who didn't know who Hunky Dory was to being a little bit a different viewpoint. And I say this because Kathy has a Taurus moon. And we know Uranus has been going back and forth. And I almost feel as if there is this call to Taurus, and Uranus is asking you to be a little bit more innovative, a little bit more rebellious about your own Taurian fixed energy. So whether it's sun, rising, moon, or if there's a stellium, being able to look at that energy and is being right making me happy, or am I just right? Because that's a very, very magical statement. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? And it's not about giving your power away, but maybe allowing yourself to see a spiritual journey of evolution that's being offered. Oh, 145 Club. Yeah, no lie when it comes to young Aries people. Yes, the self-reflect, because oftentimes their words are right, or their intention, their view is right, but their way about going about it is not engaging. And that's what's difficult. All right, here we go. So Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. What spiritual journey are you headed on? A journey of vulnerability, a journey of really differentiating whether other people and their viewpoint of your life make you happy, or you make yourself happy, and also worry. And so there's Bethany, and then there's Astera. So I think Uranus is offering you liberation. Now, let's not forget the North Node's been transiting through Taurus for quite some time. And the North Node represents, in our past lives, it represents a point that we're striving for, something we want to experience that the soul's not used to. So if we look at the axis of Scorpio, Taurus, the South Node may indicate a tendency to depend on other people's resources to feel secure. And Taurus is going to ask you to flesh out your own skills, to trust your own ability to provide for yourself. So Yvonne, the card of vulnerability, is being joined by the King. Teresa, the card of worry and other people and their opinion, is being joined by the Cow, nourishment, abundance, receiving. Bethany, that represents self-care, is being joined by the Serpent, allowing the knowledge of your spiritual journey to now be coagulated or integrated into your physical experience. And the final outcome is Astera being joined by the Eagle. Taurus, this is really amazing to me, because the King represents, it's a karmic point of justice. And as you are vulnerable to the spiritual journey of what's most important to you, I believe that you're going to start to experience a flow of abundance and a feeling of nourishment. And that nourishment may come as you stop feeling Uranus's influence on making you nervous, or making you feel anxious, or making you feel unsettled. That's the challenging side of Uranus, is it rules the nervous system. And when people who have Aquarius energy tell me, now I know I'm on Taurus, but when people with Aquarius energy tell me that they have trouble with, they're constantly nervous, I feel as if they're not honoring their deeper truth, which is why they're constantly feeling nervous. So as a Taurus, when you are willing to not just walk away from something that feels imbalanced, being able to be vulnerable enough to say, at one point I was contributing to that imbalance, and now I'm willing to be fair and just in my own life and in my vulnerability to the idea that my thoughts are things, and as I connect to that, I become more abundant and I feel myself transform. This is Bethany. Self-care and knowledge creates a balance. The word healing I don't like it anymore, because it infers one thing ending and another thing starting. And I really do not believe that the human being can experience something challenging, negative, hurtful, and just let it go. Maybe some people can, but they feel very rare to me. The average person stacks those experiences up and then builds a platform of manifestation on that. And they'll be like, well, don't you know this happened to me and this is why I do that? I think that this is now an incorporation that unleashes and releases and incorporates and integrates this energy for Taurus. Because Astera says, as you reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, things are going to happen. And here is divine guidance, divine wisdom and connection. So let me offer it this way. Venus rules Taurus. Taurus rules the second house of family history, which then affects my self-worth. My self-worth is the platform with which I manifest my material resources and security. So as Taurus is willing to go on a journey of saying, I'm not going to villainize what has come before, but I am going to walk away from it because it's no longer serving where I want to go. And then I'm more vulnerable to the idea of I don't need to be fixed for the sake of being stubborn, but rather this now transforms my fixed energy into a tenacity to continue to be vulnerable to that which brings me justice, that which brings me balance. And then to know and to pay attention to not exterminating the people in your life that you love, but being aware of if there's worry coming from somewhere, does it serve the nourishment of those dreams? Because I know that abundance is coming. I know that abundance is my natural right, because here in the angel's advice is as you focus on what's authentic to you, you will absolutely feel yourself shedding a skin. Butterfly versus the caterpillar, because this is where I think you can stand in leadership for others. In this willingness to continue to reach for what's important to you, there is this divine connection that becomes apparent to those in the outside world. And this is Pluto transformed. All right, let's go on to our Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. For those of you that just entered the room, I started at Libra and I'm working my way around the zodiac. In my weirdness to be fair, always fair. This is the new thing. Okay. Here we go for our Geminis. This is your page, the page of thought, of new thought. And I want to offer it this way because we see movement in this card. We see it reflected in the character's position, in his hair. And I feel as if there's a movement in the way you're thinking and an opportunity to really, I can't help but notice the birds. You know, the birds always indicate being able to rise above a situation, and the birds are flying above the clouds. So I feel as if there's an opportunity for Gemini, as Mars has been going through your sign and will continue to go through it until January, when, we're going to see the Mars go retrograde the end of October. It will then go forward again in January, but it'll have influence on Gemini until March. And there's a lot of other significant astrological dates at that time. So I feel as if this is not about other people now, but about Gemini paying attention to their thoughts. And are you allowing for new thoughts to cut through the muck, to rewrite your experience in life? So let's see. Gemini, our first angel is Zama, the angel of protection. The second is Archangel Raphael. The third is Isabella. And the final is Isaiah. I often think that when things get very tense or very argumentative or volatile, that it is a crescendo of energies that have been swept under the rug or ignored, or just hoping they would change, because I don't want the hard journey of starting over. And I think what we're looking at here is an opportunity for Gemini to really start to think about their life in a way that serves them and a higher vibration of their happiness. Because Xana is being joined by the horse, and I think this is really an opportunity to go in a new direction, try something you've never tried before, and to allow yourself a breath of fresh air and fresh thought. Because Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Burden card, Isabella is being joined by the Fire Fairy, and Isaiah is being joined by the Owl. Okay, I don't think this is actually about the implementation of anything new as much as it's the giving the life to new thoughts, new ideas, and things where you can sort of relinquish your obligations and start to turn those into opportunities. Because the protection card feels as if this is an opportunity for you to start to mentally go into a new direction. I think of the horse as Sagittarius. It's the opposite sign on the wheel for Gemini. So there's this everyday thoughts versus sort of this connection to the other side and sort of a more ethereal kind of thoughts. So as I know that I'm being protected by forces I can't see, I can release the burden of trying to heal myself, trying to fix myself. By nature, Gemini is the twins. So there's going to be this sort of being able to view things from different sides. And there's a lot of dynamics in the Gemini energy that rule our everyday lives. I mean, from our passwords on the computer to our conversations with our coworkers. So as we start to open up this idea that thoughts are things, and when I start to, as a Gemini rising, moon, sun, or stelliums, give life to new thoughts, rise above the situations I'm experiencing and start to think, you know what, in a perfect world, if I was going to work, I would go to work 2 days a week and interact with coworkers. I'd be home 3 days a week. I'd blah, blah, blah. You start to write your own story because now is a time, Isabella says, yes, the timing is right for a new beginning. And happiness follows that. And this is inspired thought and optimism. So I feel like this is an opportunity where you start to realize that you've been focused on the burdens in your life. You've been focused on what you are required to do versus what you want to do. And now the great wisdom of it all is that contrasting experiences is very propelling, very inspiring, very motivating to move in a new direction. Because here the owl offers wisdom. And wisdom comes through the duality of experiences. When we make money at something or we feel a certain sense of security, whether it be in a relationship or whatever the dynamic is, if it's out of balance, we will ignore that and we will forego our happiness for the security of the situation. So here we see the owl providing wisdom as you venture into a new experience, but we're not really ready to birth that experience. It is, again, a gestation period. So it first starts with Gemini's thoughts. So I really think that as Mars does this transit in your house for such a long time, it's asking you, where am I being brave in my thoughts? Where am I willing to display courage and take inspired action on the things that will truly be more authentic to my happiness? Some people enjoy routine. They enjoy the stability. They don't really want to venture out into new territory, and that's fine. But if for some reason you're crawling up your own grill and you're villainizing yourself for that enjoyment of routine, then this is an opportunity to give yourself new permissions. It isn't about judging how other people will perceive your life. It's about you living your life authentically to you, and then letting your mercurial element run around the zodiac and demonstrate that to everybody else. All right, let's go on to our Cancers, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Again, I want to remind you all, I did an Aries full moon video and I did a Pluto direct video. So you can refer to those and feel free to share them on your social media platforms. If you want, like, subscribe, the whole bit. All right, let's look at Cancer. Your tarot card is the Hermit. Now, this is very interesting because the Hermit is a journey of reflection. The Hermit is offering Father time to enlighten us, to see ourselves, to be illuminated. And it sometimes feels like a cold, lonely journey. In one of the schools of thought that I was taught, this also has a Virgonian energy, the Hermit. I tend here to see it more Saturnian. I see sort of this bowing down to Father Time. And when I do bow down to Father Time, I realize that my inspirations will be inspired through illumination versus logical thought. let's see, Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, because if you're a late born Cancer or you have any planets in the late degrees of Cancer, 26, 27, 28, 29, you're going to go through an opposition from Pluto. And, oppositions are always challenging. Something is opposing me and causing me to rewrite how I focus or rewrite how I'm going about things. And I also can't help but think that there's a very large staff that this character is holding, which to me represents the sort of the fire element. And while there's no foliage on this particular wand, for lack of a better term, it is the winter of some kind. And so I must surrender to the hibernation, to the season of death in order to feel rebirth. Okay, here we go. Is Indriel Cancer is your first angel. The second is Astera. The third is Archangel Uriel. And the final is Chantal. Oops. Cancer, Indriel's being joined by the fire fairy. Astera's being joined by the deer. Archangel Uriel's being joined by the Grail Knight. And the final is the dragon. Earlier in the broadcast, I was talking about people wanting to find their mate, their partner, feel love and affection and co-creation of a life with another person. And I was talking about how people sometimes come and they're like, I'm doing everything. I don't understand why things aren't happening. And there's this building of frustration. I've been doing the work. I don't want to work anymore. That is a vibration that isn't going to serve. And while I can honor being frustrated, there's also a surrendering to and a deeper trust that gets to be provided. Because earlier I commented that this hermit is holding a wand with no foliage. And that wand really, to me, is starting to represent something bigger. Because I believe that we are rewriting the aging process. I believe we are rewriting the structure of relationships. I believe we're coming into more co-creation in a supportive way, in a way that inspires us versus survival. So what if your struggle in relationships is actually your divine life's purpose, and your job, Cancer, is to stay inspired, optimistic, and positive during this process of evaluating your own energy. And I really think this has to do with love and relationships, because I have Astera saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And there's the deer. And I don't think it's about fear. I think it's about being gentle and diplomatic with yourself as you reach for an elevated experience in relationships. I went last night to my little girls' game night, and one of the women is in her 30s. And she said to me, Teri, I really still believe you're going to meet somebody fabulous and have a very strong relationship, because I haven't been in a relationship in decades. And I'm not sad about it, but I think my spiritual journey is, I have a belief that maybe it's made it a little bit harder for me in some respects. And yet at the same time, I trust a bigger picture of what's going on. And I don't put a lot of emphasis on it, because for my Cancers, Archangel Uriel is working on frustration in relationships, and the Grail Knight is bowing down to a deeper truth of what you want that relationship to look like. So if for some reason you feel like you're aging out or your relationship isn't coming, it is coming, and your surrender to the higher vibration of what you want in connection will help support the manifestation of that so much quicker. And I want to offer it this way, because you may be going and may have gone through a divorce or have a huge change in your family or the family dynamic, and it feels terrible. And yet it will give way to something so much more beautiful, because somewhere love is coming back around. And this is romantic love. And there's a sense of calm and peace in the dragon's energy here, a power and strength that comes as you start to experience an elevated dynamic that wasn't even available to you before. And it could be that inadvertently Pluto's death and destruction offers a partner to you that was not available before this time. So I really want to say to Cancer, surrender to the Hermit's energy. Trust that there is going to be an illumination, that you are being supported. And in your love life specifically, open up your mind's eye to a bigger picture of things. Because if for some reason something feels very icky, that ickiness may be really the very seedling for the truth of your joy and happiness. The symbolically in my Animal Speak book, which is based on Native American symbolism, the butterfly represents the dance of joy. But that butterfly could never have gotten there without that caterpillar walking on that small twig with very little sight. And the other thing that's interesting about the caterpillar and its metamorphosis to the butterfly is once the caterpillar starts to spin the cocoon, it spins upside down. So the head is down like the hanged man. Again, we see in the hanged man an epiphany of some kind. This epiphany is that your happiness is as important. Your connection in your family relationships, in your love life, is as important as everybody else. So if the Cancer has been over nurturing a situation or willing to give up in order to be compromising, none of that's going to work. And that might be why you feel frustrated. So as you start to put yourself in the mix, I want an even exchange of energy. I want to nurture and I want to be nurtured. Then we're going to start to see things shift and your ability to identify your own frustration in the process. Okay, let's go on to our Virgos. No, Leo. Sorry, Leo. Oh, Leo. Oh, Leo. Okay. Our tarot card for Leo is the beginning of inspiration. The page rules, the wands rule fire. The page rules the beginning of a new energy. It's a very youthful, excited energy as this character looks up to the sky. And I believe this is like a mercurial little hat. So new inspirations are coming for our Leos. A new sense of creativity may be birthed at this time. Let's see. Because Saturn's been opposing you. Saturn's now about to go direct at the end of this month, so it's stationing. So this is an opportunity to look at structure, to be inspired by the revision of structure. Leo, our first angel is Isabella. The second is Akasha. The third is Fiona. And the final is Seraphina. Leo also rules children. Romance, but I think there's something going on here with family. Isabella is being joined by the wind fairy. Akasha is being joined by the eagle. Fiona is being joined by the king. And Seraphina is being joined by the fear card. I talk to a lot of people who are of childbearing years, and oftentimes we find people on a fertility journey, and it's a frustrating one. And I get a little, verklempt when I find out a person is still in their 20s or early 30s, and they're getting a lot of grief about being a geriatric energy. Because I want to offer this. For my Leos, there is new inspiration coming, and your surrender to that new inspiration, your realizing that Saturn has been in some ways repressing you, been pushing on you to really identify where you've let fear paralyze you or where you've given up your power to a structure that doesn't work. Because I've actually worked with a lot of women who wanted to get pregnant and they hadn't. And Spirit has shown me repeatedly that the astrological dynamics that the soul incarnates to is very powerful in their life path. So if you've, the last couple of years, there have been dynamics that the soul may not want to be attached to for the next 90 to 100 years. So when you start to think about that and you allow that inspiration to be like, this is not just me making a baby, this is us working together with another soul to provide an experience for their evolution to their greatest happiness, then this can take some of that pressure off. Because Isabella is saying the timing is right. Now I can't help but see the wind fairy as like ruling Gemini. This wind fairy is not just about my thoughts and my things, but how those thoughts and those things manifest in the real world. And I think about Mars going through Gemini. I know that's not really applicable for Leo, but at the same time, it could be stoking up this feeling of anger and resentment in the sign that rules our everyday activities. And then we have this opposition that Saturn's been doing. So as Saturn's stationing, I think this is an opportunity for my Leos to really connect with what they're being taught from the divine realm. And that what they're being taught, and I kind of hate to use the word taught, but it's a reminder, that we are not just solely here pounding the pavement, making things happy. We are constantly in connection with other people, other dynamics that are co-creating with us, not just the other side. So now that you've asked God and the angels for help, trust the justice that's coming through, because I really think that you're going to end up being an inspiring energy. There's the change of a new happy family. Now, let's say you never want to have kids. Okay. Let's say you're not in that place. Leo also rules my personal creativity, my enjoyment, my pleasure, romance. So all those things feel like wherever you put your focus, Leo, you will start to create from a whole new level. And I believe that whatever Saturn has done in the way of an opposition will either illuminate what kind of structures you enjoy and you're willing to work hard at, or what structures you're just basically going to say no more. And that one of those may be fear pulling you under, rather facing everything and rise, or false evidence appearing real. If you've watched me for a long time, I tend to be a champion of these malefic planets. Because if they're repressing me in some way, then I'm operating in something that's not authentic to me. And those malefic planets are really my friends, illuminating where I don't need to walk that path anymore, but to be more authentic to my truth and to feel the inspiration and the excitement of that new idea being manifest in the world. So I don't believe in death. I know the physical leaves the physical plane, but the soul that inhabited that physical has opportunities beyond this realm. And more through science, we're seeing planets and energies out there in our universe that support life the way Earth does. And so I do think there's multiple experiences for the soul to choose from and multiple dynamics. And I say all of this because Leo is a leader. And as Leo embraces really a more inspired idea and thought of what their life can be, they can actually find a way to use fear to empower them and to see fear as part of the fun of this ride, not just something that we've been imprinted that fear is bad and love is good. And yet they both serve one another. So that's where I'm going with that. All right. Let's go to our final sign of the day, Virgo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Let's see where we're going. Our tarot card for Virgo is the moon. Now, traditionally in the tarot, the moon is confusion, the moon is unsureness, the moon is blocking things. And yet at the same time, the moon moves so quickly around the zodiac, and it's in various phases, from the darkness of the new moon all the way to the full moon that we're experiencing today in Aries. So I wonder, as I look at this moon, I rewrite how it looks to me, I see these characters where the coyotes or dogs or wolves howling at the moon. Is it time for Virgo to start to implement the Piscean opposition, meaning a more intuitive place? This is where I feel like each every seesaw on the wheel provides something. And this moon right now, maybe this full moon is asking Virgo to kind of culminate an old cycle of, process and practicality and dependability, and start to say, what does my heart want? The moon rules our emotional body. And the truth is, our emotional body dictates our thoughts, which then dictate our actions and represent our beliefs. So, Virgo, this is an opportunity for you to look at this moon and to truly, rather than to be confused, and I think confusion is usually a result of what I want versus what's expected of me, and start to rewrite that. Let's look and see. All right. Our first angel is Athena. The second is the Patience. Third is Francesca. And the final is Rochelle. Oh, this is all about, following your heart, Virgo. Virgo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Athena is being joined by the goblin. Patience is being joined by the stag. Francesca is being joined by the protection card. And Rochelle is being joined by the burden card. All right, so this is a process for Virgo. I want to offer it this way because this learning to follow the moon inside of you, your heart, your intuition, the part of you that can't see it in the material world. If you look at the road, it moves towards a purple mountain, and it seems to get thinner, and it seems like it's a long journey. Because for Virgo, you're an earth sign, and you're used to looking for a process. And when it comes to the emotional body and the intuitive body, the only process there is trust. Trust and an awareness to look for the evidence of your trust as it is brought to you through inspired action. Because Athena says it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself, and that's in examining your own ego. Now, let me offer this. I think the ego is incredibly important for us to feel joy. It has its dark side when it is edging God out, EGO. So your greatest power right now is to be able to see where you may be implementing processes or looking for processes or supporting processes that actually aren't supporting you. Because the Patience card is about the observation of your own energy, and the stag is about pride and leadership. And you may take great pride in the processes, but are they standing in leadership for what you want to experience? Because the sixth house is all about service to others. But I believe that the greatest service to others is to represent the joy of self, because it gives permission for other people to want their own happiness. Because Francesca is saying, what do you visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. And there's the protection card. The protection card is a 38, which reduces down to an 11, which then represents my thoughts. So this is your process, which the moon offers, is to really see where your thoughts are interrupting your intuition, where you're in conflict in some way between what you know how to do and how to trust your being energy to lead the way in a new chapter. Because the final position is Virgo having the burden of following their heart. Now let's take this back a little bit, because following your heart and being of service may feel counterintuitive. Well, how can I follow my heart and then be of service to other people? That's the best way to be of service to other people. Whenever the human is giving up their wants and desires for another human's wants and desires, there is imbalance. So I believe that during this period of time, Pluto going direct, the end of 2022, 2 being the master number of cooperation, couplehood, integration. This is an integration for Virgo to see that serving the self actually serves others. And there is within that process polarity, because the idea of serving the self while you step on someone else is not where we're going. It's more about the idea of representing that if I allow for my own personal joys, aren't I allowing other people to experience their personal joys and their personal process? So that's where I think I'm going with this. I think Virgo is being invited to follow their heart, aka the moon within them, their emotional body, and what is important to you is important. It should be a priority. And then everybody else will be inspired by that. And it's a process for you right now. All right. That's it for this week, everybody. Thank you for joining me. It's great to see everybody. Did I get to say hi to Mimobi? I don't know, but hello. Good to see you. Tibos, always great to see you in the room. Thanks for joining us today. Jules, it's good to see you. And Small Wildflowers, I appreciate you so much. Lucy Rose, I appreciate your being part of the team as well. And I'll be back next week. On the 16th, and we'll be into some fun stuff coming up because we'll be getting into that the intensity of the upcoming eclipse. So be aware of that. And yes, I'm getting hungry too, so I'm going to go have some lunch. And I will see you all next week at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so you'll be privy to all the stuff that's coming out. All right, guys. Peace out.